and then we got into NFTs and we got into, crypto, that whole thing. And that turned out to be wildly wrong. And, it's fascinating to me.
Hello and welcome to the Rose and Rockstar from the Rockstar CMO effing marketing podcast and the Marketing Podcast Network. I'm your host, Ian Truscott, managing partner at Velocity B, a B2B sales and marketing advisory firm. It's Saturday, the 27th of September, and in a moment, I'll join my chum, Chief Troublemaker at 7th Bear in our virtual bar, the Rose and Rockstar, where, over one of his fabulous cocktails, I'll pick his brains on a marketing topic that is top of mind for me. This week, over an autumnal or maybe fall cocktail, we celebrate Robert reaching 500 episodes of This Old Marketing, which he co-hosts with his pal, Joe Pulizzi, and provide a quick update on how this year's content marketing world went. But first, we need to pay the bar tab. I'll be back in a moment.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Hey marketers, Deborah Eckerling here.
And I'm Keith Smith, and we host the MPN Meta Marketing Show, which is not just another marketing podcast, but the marketing podcast about all the other marketing podcasts.
Podcasts are booming, right? We love them, and people actually listen. They don't scroll, they don't swipe, well, except maybe during the ad breaks.
But here's the secret. With the Marketing Podcast Network, your ads don't make people hit skip. We put your brand on shows that people actually want to hear.
That's right. We match your message with podcasts that make marketing nerds like us perk up and take notes, or at least nod knowingly, pretending they understand.
And don't worry, because we'll deliver your ad naturally. People might even think that we love your brand personally, which of course we totally do, unless it's a veggie smoothie, then maybe not.
If you want your brand heard without making listeners roll their eyes,
head to marketingpodcasts.net and catch marketing fans at work, rest and play. Seriously, your audience is already listening. Make sure they hear your brand and not our awkward jokes.
Join the conversation, because good ads shouldn't just be tolerated, they should be enjoyed.
Yes!
Are you tired of juggling multiple software tools to manage your agency? Say hello to Deltek Workbook, the ultimate solution for marketing and communication agencies. With Workbook, you can streamline your projects, resources, and finances all in one place. Imagine real-time dashboards and reports giving you full visibility into your projects, people, and financials. Plan your team's capacity weeks in advance to avoid bottlenecks while staying on budget to maximize project margins. Plus, Workbook works perfectly for both agencies and in-house marketing teams looking to boost efficiency and profitability. And here's the best part. At PCI, we're a certified Deltek partner and reseller offering expert implementation, integrations, and ongoing support to ensure your success. Want to see how Deltek Workbook can transform your operations? For a free consultation, visit pci.us/podcast today. That's pci.us/podcast.
Hello, my friend. Welcome to the bar.
Thank you very much, mate. How are you doing?
I'm doing remarkably well. I've had a normal week after what has been a couple of harrowing, big pressure weeks. All of it good. I'm not complaining by one little bit, because busy is good, business is good. Everything is good. But it's been, it was nice to have a normal week. And the key here is that fall has really fallen here in Southern California, and it's starting to get a little cooler, which of course is my very, 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 very favorite time of year. So all is well. And you?
Nice, same. I've been busy, and as we were talking about before we hit record, I've been working on my website inspired by yours. So it's not quite the. What did you used to call your website? The hovel or online hovel?
The dad jeans of the internet?
Yeah. So it's not quite a hovel anymore. So I fixed it up, spruced it up a little bit. So it's a little.
It looks great. It's fantastic.
And it's the weather's the same here. It's cooled down, but we didn't start from such a high. So it is cooler, but not the nice cool like you have. So that's where we're
at. But the thing is there. you can smell it, right? You can smell the fall in the air. The leaves are changing and all those kinds of things. Whereas here, no, it's still, it's still green, hot, and dusty, right? It's like, yeah.
I tell you, a couple of weeks of this, I'll take green, hot, and dusty any day of the week.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah.
So what are we drinking?
We have a lovely cocktail for to celebrate this and to segue into fall here. So because it's fall and because everybody else in the world does this as well, including Starbucks and everybody, we're going to introduce our pumpkin spice because of course we have to have a pumpkin spice in the bar. And what we're going to have is a pumpkin margarita. And it's going to sound, but it's really not. It's actually really lovely. And so the pumpkin margarita so you have to find the thing to find. It's not that hard to, especially these days, but is a pumpkin syrup. Now you can make this from scratch, but don't, because that's just, that's just too much work. So get the pumpkin spice syrup wherever you find it. And there are many brands out there that you can get. It's a relatively common thing, but maybe a little harder to find than your normal sort of stuff. Anyway, you start with that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add in a reposado tequila because we're making a margarita after all. So 2 parts tequila, 1 part of your syrup there. And then we're going to add a little Cointreau to make it sort of a Cadillac margarita, if you will. Half a part, half an ounce if you're making 1 Cointreau. And then we're going to add some fresh lime juice, of course. And then a lime wedge for decor or a squeeze if you like that. And then if you want to make it truly pumpkin spice, you add your little cinnamon stick in there. But anyway, all those ingredients go into a shaker, shake, basically really till the thing is very frosty. And then you're going to want to pour that over ice. And you can either have a cinnamon rimmed glass instead of salt, or something like that, or what I like is actually, and this is the one time I sort of go outside my no sugar bounds, is I do, because it's the same thing I do with cinnamon toast, which is a mix of cinnamon and sugar, and you sort of rim your glass with a mix of cinnamon and sugar, and it's a lovely way to celebrate the beginning of fall.
Wow, definitely sounds autumnal. I mean, that is an interesting collection of flavors there, especially if you add the cinnamon in there. So I should definitely try and give this a go if I can get hold of any of these ingredients.
Cinnamon shouldn't be too hard. Pumpkin syrup, maybe. Tequila, easy. And Cointreau, of course, easy too.
Yeah. The only ingredient I actually have in the house of this list is lime juice and cinnamon sticks. I don't think
there you go.
I don't think I can substitute the rest for gin, can I?
Yeah. Well, there you go. Yeah. Well, here's what I would do then: is I would hold the cinnamon stick, I would hold the lime, hold the pumpkin syrup, and hold the Cointreau, and then swap out the tequila for gin. And you'll end up with a great drink, which is basically just gin, which is a martini. But there you go.
I could do a gimlet and just stick a cinnamon stick in it. Yeah. All right, come on, let's get cracking. So I've got a couple of questions, or a couple of things actually, just to chat about with you this week, Robert. One of them is wanted to, and we talk about your podcast on this show probably too much. But I wanted to congratulate you because I know that your show, This Old Marketing, which is available on all good and bad podcasting platforms, it's your 500th episode coming up next weekend.
That's right. Next week.
Friday.
Next week will be 500 episodes, which, indicates to you it's 500 weeks of nonsense. But, if it would be more, except that we had that year and a half sojourn sort of hibernation, as it were, when Joe went off to go find himself in India and smoke weed with the Maharaji or whatever. But and so other than that, it's been since 2013. We started this thing in 2013, and here we are 12 years later, still cooking. It's a pretty big deal.
Well, it puts us Lockdown Project podcasters to shame, right? So I think if you're hanging around, like this was a lockdown project for me, and so if you're still hanging around after that, you're an old timer. But for you guys, starting in 2013, that's That's a serious commitment. And what is it that, I mean, because, you guys have kept up to date, right? Because you're doing the YouTube, you're doing all that stuff. What's the big changes you've seen in the 500 episodes and 12 years that you've been doing this?
The funny thing is that I would say how much the pendulum has swung back all the way to the beginning.
Oh wow, yeah.
It's funny in doing research for the 500th episode, which of course we've been doing. And looking and trying. By the way, answering this very question because it's something we're going to cover on the show.
Oh yeah, sorry, spoiler.
No, it's okay. It's totally okay. Well, it is as one would expect, right? I mean, you would expect us to do a little reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the interesting thing is that all of the things that when you look back, and of course, anytime you're doing a podcast, part of it, all of it, some of it is about looking ahead and trying to identify the trends about what's going to happen in the future, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And in almost every case, that what you look at when you sort of look back is how unexpected the future really is. And what really becomes, what you think is going to get traction versus what you think, is going to happen versus what actually does happen is almost never right. And the interesting thing I find is that you are most often right in your predictions about the small things and almost always wrong about the big things.
Wow.
If we look back to, we look back 6-7 years when we came back, right? So we came back just before COVID. And so when we came back, things were relatively normal and all those kinds of things. But no one was talking about, we should be paying attention to AI, or we should be thinking pandemic, or we should be thinking about, what's going to be going on with marketing automation. All of this, we weren't talking about any of that, right? We're talking about like weird stuff. Never, and then we got into NFTs and we got into, crypto, that whole thing, and that turned out to be wildly wrong. And it's fascinating to me how much we think we know about what the future portends, and how little we actually know about what the future portends. And then the other insight that I would say, that if you reflect all the way back, is that it really is a cycle where the things that we think about from a softer skill perspective, whether it's creativity or storytelling or strategy or, all those kinds of things, how they ebb and wane based on where we are as a, as a marketing strategy, right? In other words, in 20, this will sound familiar, right? In 2013, what we were talking about was content marketing as a way of leveraging social distribution and really getting into the idea of big bet content, where we were creating these content, big, huge campaigns and owned media platforms, and really building up our owned media to build addressable audiences and all those kinds of things. And it's like, oh, okay, well, here it is 12 years later and we're still doing the same shit, right? It's like, but in between, that whole idea certainly ebbed and waned and, and came back and forth, and it's all just a cycle.
Yeah, I remember all that NFT stuff that you guys are going through, and
oh my gosh, it became a core piece of the show. We used to, first of all, because Joe loves it so much, and it's like, such a stupid idea even then, but he got into it in a big way, and then he got me into it in a big way, and then it was like, okay, well, that's not going to turn out to be productive at all.
Yeah. And also Apple still haven't acquired Disney, which I think has also been an ongoing meme.
I'm sure that will come up, right? I'm sure that will come up.
Well, that's
the funny thing is, if there was ever a time that it was going to happen, now is maybe one of the biggest when it could happen, but it's still not going to happen, by the way.
But that's a little bit inside baseball. You need to be a regular listener of the show for that reference. But I see your point though about you have to talk about the topics of the day. I mean, that's the nature of your show, isn't it? And like I tend on this show, the main part of the show, the one we do on Wednesday, we tend to be talking about marketing fundamentals, but you're always having to dress it up in the zeitgeist of now. So right now, the zeitgeist is AI, isn't it? And so therefore, those are the things you're talking about. But when you strip it down, as you say, as you guys are passionate about content marketing, it's the same fundamentals.
Yeah, and I'm talking about this actually in an article that I've written the article and it's coming out next week.
Yeah.
And perhaps this will become a topic for us, in the coming weeks. But what my observation on that is, and it actually comes out of some research that I've just read, some wonderful research that talks about how the most tech savvy people are often the most resistant to new technology.
Wow.
And it's because I'm calling it the dip, right? Mm-hmm. And they're using AI. The research found that it was an AI thing, basically saying, look, it's usually the new when I say uneducated, I mean like untech savvy people who are really grasping onto AI as sort of this magical solution to their problems. And it's actually the tech savvy ones who've been around for a while or know how it actually works who are a little more resistant to it. Yeah. And the interesting thing to me is that's not just AI, that's technology full stop, right?
True.
If we go back and look at how we all, and you and I live this, sort of in so many different ways personally, which is you go back and look at some of the most innovative technology in the last 25 years in marketing, things like content management and digital asset management and analytics and email automation and A/B testing, multivariate testing, and then it goes on and CRM and it goes on and on and on. And every single time those technologies came online, the offer was it's the Arthur C. Clarke, right? Indistinguishable from magic, right? It's going to make you magically more productive, and it's going to empower your business users, and it's going to make you magically more effective and efficient. And once we got into it, you get into any of those technologies, and what you quickly realize is, some of it is really interesting, but it adds complexity and work to your life. It doesn't take complexity. It's like, oh, now you have to configure workflows as part of your job. Now you have to configure A/B tests as part of your job. Now you have to get in and work with the CRM system and add metadata as part of your job. So it eats actually activity. It doesn't actually provide freedom from activity. And that's an interesting discovery, but you only get that discovery after you sort of go through it, right? You actually have to get into the dip to actually understand it. And I just think it's a fascinating place because we've become so in 2025 versus maybe 2013 or whatever, we've become so enamored with technology and marketing. And maybe we've reached peak technology, if you will. But now, and we made this observation the other week, is like, we've gotten to the point now where we care more about the things that we're certified in rather than the soft skills that we provide. In other words, the line in the resume becomes I'm HubSpot certified, or I'm a Salesforce whisperer, or I'm a I'm a Google Analytics expert, rather than I'm a strategist or a creativity or whatever person. And the equivalent would be like hiring a carpenter who walks in the door and says, well, I'm certified on the Swingline E1316 hammer, right? It's like, I don't care. I don't care if you're certified in a hammer. What, are you a good carpenter, right? Yeah. And it's an amazing time right now.
And it's funny because that's what I ranted about a little bit in my Tuesday 2 cents this week. And I'm not sure that it was a complete, you sort of write some stuff. Well, you write stuff and you think about it and you write something good, but sometimes you just bang something out. And it was, for me, because I've seen had experience of seeing like a generalist marketer say, and we were talking about that things need to get done, things need to get designed. They said, I've got a Canva account. Well, that doesn't make you a fucking creative. That doesn't make you a designer.
That's right.
Having a Canva account, right? And and that's the and I think that we as marketers are being sort of pushed in that way because people have got to become generalists. We've got to wear all these different hats. Budgets are being cut. Blah 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 blah. And And there seems to be a perception that if you've got access to a tool, all of a sudden you're gifted in that craft, and that's not the case.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right. And it's interesting because that becomes the focus of our marketing teams, right? Is to become experts at the tool rather than the tools helping us become experts at marketing.
Exactly.
And that is, and you can see declining efforts. You can see declining value, in terms of the kinds of experiences that are getting created, the kind of marketing that's getting created, the kind of strategy that's getting created, because marketing teams are increasingly just experts at pushing the, buttons and identifying which grayed buttons need to be grayed out for which users, rather than trying to figure out the story that should be told when I push the button.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And that's the thing, isn't it? Like with ChatGPT, it doesn't make you a fucking copywriter. Grammarly doesn't make you a great content editor.
That's right.
Sorry, I could get on, and that was the little rant I did this week. I was actually, I don't know if we're nearly running out of time, so I've only got a couple of minutes on this. But in the reflections mood, you were at Content Marketing World. Was it last week before? How was that? I mean, that's again something you've had a long-term relationship with. How was that this year?
Content Marketing World was wonderful. I think the key themes that sort of began to emerge were really, AI, obviously, for the obvious reason, because everybody's thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that sort of not impressed is the wrong word, but when I say impressed, I don't mean like I was, proud. What I mean is that it was upon me. It was impressed upon me that how much people are basically really tuning into this idea of the humanity of marketing, right? So and I would say marketing practitioners seem to be getting the memo that that AI is going to be, if it's going to be successful, it's going to be successful in making us more creative, more, more, making us more, right? Rather than replacing us.
Yeah.
Now, whether the bosses or the CEOs or the CMOs get that memo, I think that jury is still out. But in many ways, I found the audience extraordinarily engaged. It was really refreshing to see how many young people were there. So many young new marketers, especially with the disruption that we've seen in a lot of marketers basically tapping out because of all the things we just talked about, right? Yeah. So it's nice to see young, fresh energy in marketing, and there was a lot of it there.
Nice. Now then, when people want to see some young, fresh insights into marketing, where are they going to find that, Robert?
Not with me. Yeah, I'm an old man and I yell at clouds. Yeah, mine. You can find it on my website, which is seventhbear.com. Cool.
And how's your newsletter going?
The newsletter is going very well. Thank you very much. It's doing quite well. It's fun. I'll tell you that. I've gotten more consistent with it. And so I'm trying for every 2 weeks now to put it out. So it's been going very well.
Nice. And people can find that on robertrose.net, or it's
everywhere. Yeah, everywhere you'll see a subscription button to it. So
nice. Yeah. All right, mate. And most importantly for me, will you be in the bar next week?
Indeed.
I look forward to it, my friend. I'll see you then. Thank you, Robert, and congrats on 500 episodes. And of course, I'll include a link to his show in the show notes. And a little horn toot for me at the beginning is very kind about my refreshed personal website. If you're interested, it's iantruscott.com. Please take a look. I'd love to know what you think. So that's a wrap on our visit to Rose and Rockstar. Thank you for putting a dime into your podcasting jukebox, selecting our track, and jiving along with us. And of course, you can find all the links to me and Robert in the show notes on rockstarcmo.com, where you can also find links to our newsletter, blog, previous episodes, and all the things. Coming up on Wednesday, it's Kathy McKnight's turn in the studio, so I'm looking forward to that. And Robert will be back in the bar on Saturday. In the meantime, I'll leave you with this quote from Henry Ford. A man who stops advertising to save money is like a man who stops a clock to save time.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Henneke Watkins Porter hosts The Entrepreneurial You, empowering entrepreneurs with insights on leadership, business, and success. Henneke, tell listeners what to expect from your show.
So we provide innovative business strategies and practical solutions to common entrepreneurial challenges.
And where can people subscribe?
Find us at HennekeWatkinsPorter.com, as well as the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcasts.net, or search for it wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard her. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.